We're live. Hey, everybody. Hey, this is Joe with Aqueducts. If you want to join here, what we're going to be covering today is if you have a team, then this is for you. If you have a team in enterprise. So if you're on a team, this is for you. And if you own the team, this is especially for you. And the topics we're going to cover today are lack of engagement, overwhelm on a project, and turnover. Okay, so we're just going to cover what happens, why those things happen, and what my one answer is for all of those things, because I think it's the primary answer for why you would be experiencing any of those things yourself, or why your team would be experiencing any of those things. All right, so we're actually streaming over on several channels, so we're going to have engagement, I think, back and forth. If you want to join, go ahead and join and comment in the thing. And we'll be, our trusty sidekick here is going to be shooting back comments at you. All right, so let's just get into it. So one of the primary things that I want to cover is lack of engagement. This is a huge, it's actually related to turnover as well as overwhelm. And the main thing that's driving this in the market, it's a very heavy technical market right now. There's an article just recently come out right around cash being thrown at employees just to get people to stay, to candidates. And so turnover is a thing, and lack of engagement is a thing. If there's not an alignment between where you are or where your team is and the company and where it's going, especially on a big project, everybody's got options, right? So that's the idea is that they're going to use the work in the company as a vehicle for their growth, and you are. I mean, if you're on a team, if you're running a team, you're using this as a vehicle for your growth. Yeah, that's right. So what's the connection? Can you get a link to old Buddy-O? So yeah, like the idea is that the ERP project, the CRM project, the large software project, any enterprise project that you're going to see in large businesses, that's your vehicle for growth. And if you don't see it as an asset there, then you're going to get lack of engagement. You're going to get overwhelm and turnover, because those things, they source from really not aligning where I want to go in life to where the company's going along with them, right? So I want to dig into that. I want to cover this. We're live right now. I don't have any response back. So if you're talking to me, we've got Sidekick on it. Our team's going to be on it, but so I'm just going to launch in here, and then we're going to bring our pal on. So Patrick, if you have if you've got Salim on, we'll get him a link, and we can bring him on here and see if we can't share. If you know how to do that. All right, so let's dive in then. So if lack of engagement is you, right? If you have a team not engaged, or if you are not engaged, the stats on this are unbelievable. Like 2/3 of the workers in the economy are either actively not engaged and trying to harm the company, or just not contributing, or somewhere in the middle where they're sort of disengaged, but not, they're in the middle, or they're sort of in a watcher state. So lack of engagement is huge. And then how do you deal with this, right? So how can I take this, this state and then turn it around? So, well, here's, I'm just going to, right early in the call, I'm going to drop as much knowledge as I can on this. This is how we approach things internally, and how I want to help you guys out too. So again, if you're just joining, we're covering, what happens when you have lack of engagement on your team, when you have, no motivation, you have turnover on the team, or you have this overwhelm, right? That coming from too much work. Oh my goodness, he's here. I got a guest on this call, man. You guys can't believe. So we're gonna bring him up here in a second. We have somebody right now who is in your shoes. If you're an analyst right now in any capacity, if you're on a team, if you're an analyst in any capacity, this guy was in that exact state. And if you run a team, well, he's in that state now. And what happened was that there was this guy used a big enterprise project as a vehicle for his own professional growth, and saw around him two states: the people who actually used these projects to grow, and then people who did not, like people who just didn't see the project as an asset, saw it as a liability to their work. All right, so in a nutshell, so that we can get right to it, how do you solve these things and how can I help you guys? That's the theme for today's call. So I'm going to dive right in. Here's my answer. Are you ready? Like, this is the most exciting thing ever. So in your career as a team leader, as a team owner, as a team member in enterprise, we're talking about a larger business here. Most of these states are going to, of overwhelm, turnover, lack of engagement, are going to come because we essentially simply did not ask our team member what they want, like where are they going directionally. And we didn't ask ourselves as a team member what we want and where we're going directionally. We might have had that worked out a while back. That's why we're in the position. We were after something. But now we're here, and did we take the time to stop, rechart, remap, and then go get something that we actually want? This could be money for you. It could be that you need a big raise. It could be that you need a promotion and recognition and a career path that leads eventually to a larger, a higher state for you. It could also be the exit of the business in case you're a business owner. And in the case that you're running a team, this could be something where it's professional advancement from manager, director, CXO, and eventually owner of the company. So whatever those goals are, your goal could just be family time. It could be leisure and hobby. But if you haven't taken the time to ask somebody what they want, it's the simplest thing. And I know it's a simple principle, but if you're just joining, we're just talking about how simple it is just to ask yourself, the people on your team, or in terms of like an ownership, like you're asking for strategic vision, like what do you want out of this company, like investment? Okay, so you're going to ask. That's the takeaway for today. You're going to ask yourself how to do that. So we're going to cover goals here, and we're going to cover your goals and the goals of your team members, et cetera. And the context here is that we're Aqueducts is an ERP company. We do enterprise resource planning. We do large projects. I've been doing that for 12 years. I'm in this company, in the Aqueducts, from its foundation, like from its founding in 2012, we've made north of $8 million in revenue, courting companies and who have issues with large projects. All right. So the thing that I'm telling you right now on goals, this has a direct application. We actually do this internally to our own company, and we ask these questions when we're out on site on large ERP projects, as well as all the data and integration and reporting projects. So that's the context. And the context for you is that these large projects can be assets to you because they're just like main primary engagements that you can use to go and further your goals. So I want to bring this guy up. I have to actually make sure that this is done right. This is a guy I did a lot of work with out on site in a large project in New York City. He did exactly what I'm talking to you about. Like he came up in that area. And so I'm going to bring him on here. I'm going to add him to the stream. His name is Salim, and he did exactly what you guys want to do in your spot. Welcome, Salim.
Hello.
How you doing, man? It's been a while.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh man, amazing. So you've got an audience here. We're streaming everywhere on all social media platforms. We probably have an audience of well north of 50,000 people. That's not really true. It's because we're newer to the outbound, messaging and everything. Yeah. But what we want to cover today is your story out at where we hooked up there in New York City on a project. Your story, I was a BI person. I was coming and doing reporting. I was helping with this and that. And I ran across this person sitting out in the common area here among a cube farm. And, I'm talking to everybody, right? Just trying to get the information to run the project. Salim's sitting there with his buddy Alex, and I sit down and start talking to these guys. Man, we just instantly start talking about the New York Yankees, like the baseball, like the I don't know, all of New York, and then finance where these guys lived. So Salim, you were a director of treasury, I think, at this point, but back then you were like a financial analyst. Is that right?
Yeah, I was a manager actually, and now I'm senior director.
Oh my gosh, senior director, that's awesome. And treasury. So for the folks at home, you had this big project happen. So we're going to talk about that. But where are you now? Like, what does it mean to be a senior director, and where did your career go when you went through that project?
I mean, so basically before when I was in the cubicle farm, as Joe put it, um, really what I was seeing around me, and I had background at like much larger companies and small companies. What I was seeing was just a lot of friction and churn, where you know um, a- everything and almost a lot of things, pretty much everything was done very manually. There was no connection between the requirements of the business and the tools that were like available, or the data that was available. So really just kind of having a little bit of that understanding of data, but really being my background is finance. Um, I think I was able to identify where we need certain tools to get us to the spot where we are actually not sitting there doing reporting, and we're not struggling to do reporting. We're not waiting for an email from somebody in operations about inventory levels to populate a report. My view of those things are, if somebody's sending me that information, I don't want to talk to that person about that information. I want to know where that person is getting their information. And if, it's something that's going to be repetitively needed, I want that automated. Like I don't, uh, I'm going to say I'm a lazy person. That's why I always push towards these kind of things. But really, where that got me, Joe and his team really helped us, develop our, next generation ERP tools, whether it be, Azure Cubes or dynamic reporting, like online reporting. But really, where that got me is it got me from that spot where I was, the guy who was generating reports and then having senior folks at the company question the numbers and not believe the numbers, and then having to go back and churn and churn and churn to kind of understanding what the end outputs and goals need to be, build that automation, make sure it's verified, validated, and just kind of get it off my plate. So
Yeah.
now I'm the guy that's known as, he delivered all this great reporting. I trust this person as, to do strategic work because he clearly understands the data, he understands the business, and he can translate business requirements to, at the end, he can translate business requirements to IT folks who might be developing the back end, and he knows what we need. So,
All right. So I just
yeah.
want to level set this for everybody because when we started that project, did you know everything that you needed to know at the start of the project, or did you develop it on the way?
Oh, it's definitely developed on the way, and I would say I was learning the data at the same time. With your guys' help too. I mean, any ERP system, I always say this at the end of the day, is just a series of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tables, right? So it's how you use the data in those tables. So yeah, it was definitely a like 180 process where we would have a goal to accomplish something. We would have versions of either, reports tools, see if it ties out to our old legacy manual work that that was very time consuming, but we knew that was correct, and kind of get to the point where, again, it's all about freeing up people's time to do more and more advanced and strategic work. Like I don't want to pull down an inventory file every day and run pivots on it and email and click send an email to 60, 70 people. That's how it was done before. I mean, those are all like what I call stupid tasks that like the simplest software can do.
All right. So to inventory here, you had, I mean, as I went down into that room, I could just feel like where the lack of engagement was. I could feel definitely the overwhelm. Y'all had 9 p.m. Department meetings, and like that was a department. That means everybody was there at 9 p.m. This is prior to COVID, and the overwhelm there was like palpable, and therefore the turnover. I mean, when I got there, you guys, the first thing you told me was that you were replacing other people who had left, and we just had to pick up from zero. So I guess the picture I want to paint is I walk into that place. If I had everybody in that room like you, I'm not dealing with a room that is fully competent on every single thing that needs to be learned on the project. And I'm not dealing with somebody who has all the answers. Literally all I get is if everybody in that room had the same attitude that you had, that lack of engagement wouldn't be there. The overwhelm wouldn't be there. What I would get is laser eyes, which is what I got from you. It's like, hey, I need you. This is what I need. You form up the question to be answered, and then for our team to work on. And then you're at the line level. You were actually vetting the data that we sent across. So could we adequately state that you're willing to do everything in this middle box that comes up on your projects so that you go and get your goals done? My question to you is, what were those goals? Like, what happened there that blew everything up? That,
I mean, again, the goals are to, in my view, my goals were to, number one, be able to do my job more effectively, without that churn and the stress of staying there till midnight, or even Joe, after you went to your hotel, we were still there at 2 a.m.
oh my
Some
God.
nights, trying to get data together. So just getting rid of that whole stress. And I can today say the whole team, I don't, we work 9 to 5, and we probably deliver more output than we used to in the past. That's number one. Number two is, again, I just wanted to, for myself, learn the business through the data, and be able to stick out in the crowd as the person who can who can use data to make or advise on proper business decisions. So that's just being there ad hoc, being able to spit out reports, numbers, whatever it may be, or have that knowledge to kind of sit at the table with senior management
Yeah.
and talk intelligently about things, which was not something we would be able to do if we're doing manual work. And I think number three is also, it's at every company you're going to have a little bit of internal politics, but it's really trying to prove to people that the way they used to do it might not be the best way, or they don't have to do it the same way. Because I remember when we engaged in this project, a little sidebar, I think at some point they said, okay, every department give me every report you've ever run because this is all going to be automated. And I remember that list. It was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports, which just it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it was, I think I was the person who pushed and said, this is the wrong, we should not be developing reports. We should be developing reporting tools, and we should be reporting the we should be developing the foundation, the procedures, processes to allow us to be, successful into the future and, scalable and everything versus, just sitting there and having, paying somebody a lot of money just to duplicate reports we were doing in the past. I mean,
Oh man.
that's like that doesn't give you flexibility. So I think just that made me stand out, and like it builds trust in the company.
So what I saw is amazing, man. If you're tuning into this, if you are still on the come up, coming in like trying to do what Salim has done, what I saw from the consulting side was that all of a sudden every status meeting had that had financial numbers on it had Salim on it. He's part of the standing call. They get on the conference room around the conference room table, and he'd be on the call. The thing is, what I saw was when you bring that effort to the project will actually will directly reward you with participation in it. And now you're part of it. And I didn't know that at first. Like when my first project, I was part of this pyramid. I was sort of down at the bottom. The only way these people tuned into me was that I had driven my junky old Volvo 240 to every site that this oil and gas company had. I bothered to ask people what was important to them and what their current challenge was. And I noticed it. And then when I went to other projects, I could find those people. Like they made sense to me because they were doing the stuff that I had done in the past. So for the people watching Salim who are coming up and would like to do that same thing, Salim, what I'd like to impart to them is some advice on goal setting that isn't like, lose 5 pounds in 30 days. That's a goal. And I like that goal. But what is a goal that you'd put in front of somebody that's a game worth playing, a goal worth having? What goal would you set there that is going to pull you from, remember this box, right? You're way out here, like the future is way out in front of you. You are where you are. And then in between, you heard Salim say, it's politics at every place. It's the technology you don't know. It's how to do the data. You don't even know the company's data. You're new there, or it's a new system and old to new reports, whatever. Salim, what would you say on the goals there? What's a game worth playing there? What is what Michael Gerber calls a game worth playing, or a goal worth achieving?
So for me personally, and this might sound counterintuitive, what I've always done at any company I've worked at, and it's been just successful for me, is I try to make myself redundant. If I can make my job, if I can make what I do on a day-to-day basis automated where it doesn't have to be done anymore, or if I can get those manual tasks, and if I am the person that is the data guy, is the person who stands out and is always bringing those kind of innovations to the table, that has always been successful for me. And I know it might sound like counterintuitive to say make yourself redundant because people say, oh, you need to be irreplaceable. I want to be easily replaceable because if I have done such a good job that I've made an irreplaceable job into an easily replaceable job, that means I have done an excellent job at my job. Like I've excelled at it. I've made it so smooth and easy to follow that anybody else can come off the street and do it. That means I have value to that company because then they're like, okay, we should put this guy into like different roles too, so that he can bring that innovation there. So and like that's kind of how I've always risen up. And but at the same time, sometimes you see somebody at a very senior level who just is disconnected from the day to day of the business, and I I still sit there and do Excel modeling every day, and every once in a while I'll dabble in like a little bit of database stuff. But I also try to stay up to date.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. And so, and then the last thing here, it's on the level of tech that helps versus tech that is buzzword. And one thing I heard you say on the project was, I think that we were saying, golly, what was the context? It was awesome. And we were throwing this in front of something in front of you, and you're like, and I asked a question, and you went deep on like, you indicated that you had, as a company, you had already canvassed this. You had vendors in to present on this, that, or the other. And I think it was something like it was automation or machine learning. And essentially it was like every company was like, I'm going to drop software in your company, then 2 weeks is going to just make all your problems go away. And you never have to use any of your tools, and you don't have to use Excel anymore. And you had the best response to that, man. So here I am. I'm telling you, Salim, hey, man, we're finally going to take away Excel because you don't have to use it anymore.
Yeah, that pitch, it's just a pet peeve of mine. It annoys me. So there's a finance person to say you're never going to use Excel again. If you're doing like customer service calls, or if you're doing very repetitive type of tasks, yeah, you can have different software that does that. But when my CFO comes to me and says, I want you to model out this merger and acquisition, we're looking to acquire XYZ company, or we're looking to expand into this region of the world, and I need you to model something out for me. There's no software out there where I can just turnkey, be like, oh, like let me one day model out an M&A, next day model out, a store expansion in another country, and on day 3 do an inventory analysis. That just does not exist. It does. It's called Excel, and you build it. Ad hoc. Again, the key is, having the data cubes and everything to be able to connect into Excel, so you can like make your life easy to build all of that. That and then the whole, machine learning craze. I'm not going to call it a craze. It's not craze. It's a valid thing, but it has its limits to a certain degree, because again, it has to be. What they say with data, it's like 95% cleanup and 5% actually going through it. Like if you spend, if you have a team of 20 people spending 6 months just like mapping data for you and cleaning it up, yeah, you'll get something out of it. And those type of data sets, it works. But from in my world, where it's treasury or finance, there's very few areas where that kind of makes sense. It's really more for I think more on the customer data platforms and things like that, where
Yeah. And then Salim, so like, so here's the crushing question. All right. Well, two things that I wanted to note. One is that you said that like as Salim gets invited to every call on this project that we were on, and then just because he's trustworthy, right? What particularly were we doing there at the company? You were making a process automated over and over again. We heard you say, if I could automate the stuff that I was working on, then they could rely on that, and then they would give me more responsibility. Why does process automation for a company matter? And you are just uniquely situated to answer this question, because you came into virtually zero automation, and you throughout the thing you guys worked. I mean, we're talking 2 a.m. days on financial analysis. Mm-hmm. Now you've had the chance to just go and work this. What does automation mean to you when you go from here to there? What does it mean to the company?
So, I mean, at a very high level, however you want it, like what's the ROI on it? It's you're either saving time or saving costs, right? So either you can hire 5, 6, dozens of analysts and throw them, or like coordinators, whatever level, and like just throw people at a problem, or the way I like to think about it is, and I always have this discussion with my CFO where, he says, "Oh, back in the day, we used to do everything on paper," and I always said, "Well, back in the day, I'm sure you didn't have 2-3 million transactions a month. Like you're not going to run an Amazon website on paper and like with a pencil. So you need that kind of automation. And when you have those big data sets, the automation allows you to see the relevant information. You get to the relevant decision making point. So from a company perspective, yeah, you can hire less people, or I think what's more important is you can have your staff or yourself, you can work on more strategic things than day-to-day running up the business. So like you can actually go problem solve, you can go look at developing new business, doing various different things. And it's really same for me too. I like to say I'm a lazy person. That's why I don't want to sit there and like do repetitive tasks all day.
Be
So like,
lazy, guys. Follow
yeah,
Salim and be lazy. Be lazy in the right way.
yeah.
Good.
So I mean that's the crux of it. And if it frees me up to actually, you know, think through problems and help my senior management, that's kind of what sets me ahead.
Okay, man. So what we're gonna do here is I want to do a quick goal thing for everybody who's tuning into this later. Um, uh, uh, what we'll do here is we're going to do a quick walkthrough. If you need help doing this for your team, here's just the quick role play. It's this easy. You want to be intentional about a meeting and you want to do it in person. All right, we're going to jump in. We're going to go out. The best way to do this is do it away from the office, away from your home. You're going to go to a restaurant, a coffee place, a tea place. You're going to spend some time with this person and spend 15 minutes investing in somebody and just asking them what they want. Because I want to ask this question of Salim at the end, because now he's running a team and now he gets to invest in people on his own team. And the question is, how do you duplicate this massive impact of, somebody who's going to go out and do what Salim did on a project? So really quick role play. You're going to meet with somebody offsite. You're going to throw some questions at them and be interested. And it's all about them. What do you want? Pull from the person, right? This is not a moment to talk. You're going to listen. I mean, this is like, it's just absolute gold, because the people I've done this with, their most common response is, nobody ever asked me that in business before. Not once. It's the most common response, that nobody ever asked me that. So all you're asking is, what do you want? What are you after? What are you getting to? Like, what is your goal? Because a goal is an aspiration. It's not asking, what do you like to do for hobbies? That's nice, but where are you going? I like doing marathons. I want to go do it in Europe. This is a great story out of Brandon Dawson, Cardone Ventures. An amazing, story about how he was able to get this marathon runner a trip over to Europe, because they just bothered to ask, what are you after? And then the business needed to grow because somebody went out on leave, and this person, they did a swap, right? Can you cover for the maternity leave in exchange for going to Europe early? So it's like, if you reshape your organization around your people, the role play here as a team leader is that you're going to bother to ask what people want, and then you're going to bother to hold them accountable on a weekly basis. How is it going with the whatever, a weekly to biweekly, depending upon your cadence. And then we don't have a whole lot of time, so I just want to blow through the content part here so that you guys get max value as a team member. Where, like, in terms of like your own goals, if you don't have anybody asking those goals about your own goals, then you need to ask them yourself. And here's your criteria. You have to ask yourselves about goals that would actually make you move. Not the nice to have goals. It's the ones that will make you move. In Salim's case, he's lazy, right? He just wants, like, you kept on saying, Salim, that like it's the laziness that drives it, because I want everything to work for me so that I can show myself to be reliable. And if I know that as your manager, and if you as a manager are going to know that about one of your people, then you're going to know how to talk to that person, and it's going to be relevant. And the other thing is that you're just going to map this to where the company is going and its value proposition to the market, so that you guys are aligned. All right. So if that's the key takeaway from here, it's what's going to help your turnover. It's what's going to help solve your lack of engagement and your overwhelm. Lack of engagement is just because nobody asked me, man. It's not about me. Where am I in this whole picture? Turnover is that, one right before lack of engagement, and then it's the overwhelm. Your overwhelm happens when you just don't have a why, when there's no inspiration for what you're doing. There's no why for you being there. You're not willing to cross this box, right? This desert. You'd go belly crawl across the desert if the why was right. And then if neither of those two are correct and aligned, then you're going to have turnover. All right. So that's my takeaway for this this call. I want to thank Salim. And Salim, before you go, I want to give you hard offers here for everybody on this call, and you're going to get a live critique from Salim, who's been pitched by everybody, all of the flashiest presentations by the best groups, and you name it. So the live offers we have here, Salim, are that you're going to engage with our group. I want to share my screen here, but I'll send you guys out a link. Just go to aqueductsconsulting.com. That's AQUEDUCTS consulting.com. And then down the page, there's going to be some pricing packages. Now, the pricing here that we want to, and these are our hard offers, in order to get this mojo, this electricity, this goodness in your company and have an experience like Salim had, we can engage at 2 days, 5 days, and 10 days. And the idea is that we drop in, we do something that works, proof of concept, and we engage your people in a certain manner, modeling what I'm talking about here, bothering to ask what is important to you, what is important to your people. Those engagements are ERP, their data, their reporting. We have a lot of pre-built stuff that's great for you guys. And so the hard offer here is that you can come and engage with us for $3,750 on 2-day engagement, $7,500 for a 5-day engagement, or $15K for a 2-week turn. And those are all proof of concepts on things that already work. All right. These are like things that we've already pre-built. Salim's well acquainted with these things because we did them there. So Salim, live critique, and you can give us the straight dope here. You got these people listening on the live. So what are you hearing here on the offers, and how are you going to push back on your suppliers and vendors to make me sweat, so that like what I'm offering makes sense and is relevant to you?
I think it's again like pretty easy to tell if when a supplier is, or like a potential vendor is, kind of just promising things that are too rosy, like, yeah, we'll get rid of Excel, or we can just come in like 3 days and fully get everything, all of it automated. So it in my experience, it has always been, you have to put in a little bit of work closely, and have the correct outcomes and goals in mind that you want, and then really you kind of have to listen when you're looking at suppliers, vendors. You look at people who are receptive to your outcome goals, and they're not over promising. They are saying, this is what's possible. And a good vendor, again, in my mind, will give me the tools to hit my outcomes myself. I don't want somebody to build my outcomes for me. I want a vendor who gives me the tools to do what I need to do, so I can be, flexible.
All right, awesome. And so like in a sense, no overpromise. And then the proof of concept is going to be a gray area too, because what are we proving, right? Do we even need that? And then we've got to listen to you. I mean, it's got to be a thing where we go back and forth, and I don't just try to monster you with flashy slide decks and a promise of of a workless office. So that's helpful, man. And then any advice to the people who are listening? This is really helpful, actually. Any advice to your CFOs and CTOs and CIOs out there and the CEOs? You're sitting in your area right now. What's your advice to these people who are commissioning these large projects? And how can you get them to listen in and to the voices down below?
I mean, to the CFOs, CTOs, CEOs, it's like just listen to the to your staff, to the analysts, and take a step back in terms of sustainability of products and scalability of products too. So if somebody again comes to you and says, here are the 100 reports I'm building, I want these done, be that voice that says, okay, so you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to, let's develop the tools to give you all the flexibility you need so that you can, basically rebuild these things, but then it's, faster, easier, quicker, automated, and you can be doing other things. So that's a key thing. And there is, in every company, I'm in finance, and I, work with my CFO very closely. There's always, you're looking at costs versus the ROIs, but the ROIs are, in some of these cases, are soft ROIs, but they're very important because that really frees you up and frees your company up to, generate sales and do our other profitable, follow those profitable endeavors. So that's kind of important.
That's awesome, man. And how
Hey,
how you
Joe,
go?
by the way, I have
Joe.
that hard cut off. Sorry.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much, Salim. Hey, everybody give Salim a round of applause here. Way to go, man. Thanks. And then jump and go get your other call.
Thank you. And I hear the virtual applause. Thank you.
See you, man.
See ya.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Give it up for Salim. He's the best guy. So, you heard the story here earlier on about his engagement. He's just the poster child, for this engagement on a large project. He did use a large project as a vehicle for his own growth, and he gave so much to the company. He gave the company a raise so that the company eventually notices this, includes him on all the discussions, and then his advancement happens. All right. That's how that happens. You saw that demeanor. That demeanor was the same as I saw every time I was talking to him on site. Okay. So I want to pivot here. I want to go directly to this offer so that we can wrap this up. And you guys can go deeper with us if you see great value here and you want to engage us at this level. So the offer, let me share my screen here. And let's see here. Share screen. Start screen sharing. I'm going to choose screen 2. Whatever that one is. It's not highlighting. Oh my goodness. Well, we can do pardon the absolute delay here. Oh goodness. I don't actually know what screen 1 is. So I'll share screen 1 and then allow. Oh my goodness. It's a paradox. So we're just going to bring that up. We're going to share the whole screen here. We're going to go to aqueductsconsulting.com. This is how to get to us, and this is the offer. this is how we can go deeper in what we offer. So we are a Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Silver partner. We do ERP, we do supply chain, commerce. That was Salim's thing. He was in retail apparel. And we do productivity tools and support. We got a bunch of pre-built stuff for you. All right, in reporting and BI and everything. Okay, so let me just hit refresh here. The offer here, so I have to update these hours. So 3750 is 20 hours. Like we're gonna, what does that mean to you though? It means that for about 2.5 days out of the week, we're gonna drop in, we're gonna model exactly what we spoke about here on this call. We're going to map your people's goals to the goals of the company. We're gonna ask you what you want if you're running the team. If you're on the team, we're going to ask your manager, your leadership structure and team that, to see what the company wants and how to match that to what you guys are after. So 3750, this gives us 2.5 days to engage. We drop in, we have this level of conversation. You get me directly, you get my team who are going to come in and do something for you, right? We're going to give you essentially an idea of what we would do to solve your problem. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for people who don't have an idea for how to solve the problem, that's important. If you're really looking for a blueprint, like a week-long worth of work, we're going to in for a week at $7,500. I'm going to bring my people, me directly, and we're going to give you a blueprint, a written up blueprint of how we would actually tackle your problem. Actually blueprint it out, right? So project schedule, which technology we use, which apps we use, which platforms, etc. And we'll handle the tech part here, but we're also doing the people part, right? It's you, what you want, your team, what they want, where the company is going, and how your people can use, and you can use the large project and enterprise as a vehicle for everybody's growth. And then for 15K, these are people who already know what's going on. And this is a couple weeks. That's 80 hours of consulting work where we bring our people. I'm there. You get a blueprint for what's going to happen. And we actually build out this effort with your team and build something. So after this, we're going to build a proof of concept at 15K for how we'd actually solve it. And you can keep us around and we can go deeper and solve the problem along with you. And we could also actually just hold your hand and be there at your elbow to help your team do it. Help you do it and help you build the team that does it. So we don't have to stay forever. We can be of max value to you, and then we can roll off, or we can be a longer term partner, just like we were with Salim. So check us out here on what you guys are handling. We don't mind the tech. Our tech talks to everything. We work a lot with Microsoft platform, but we've worked with Snowflake and Tableau and all these other apps, like other ERP systems. We do process automation. We will handle the stuff in the middle. This tech is going to change. All the tech we work with. What doesn't change is what motivates people, and that's why we want to talk to you here. So reach out. The way to get a hold of us is get in touch. Right there on the website, let's talk. And then you can fill out the form and get it done. And the form doesn't work. So people on the live here are going to roll their eyes, but we're going to edit this out for the non-live people. All right, so come back to me. Thank you so much for joining. I have really enjoyed, talking with you. I hope you got a lot of value out of seeing Salim and his journey, and I hope that journey is there for you too. And one day, hopefully soon, we can have you on this stage. We do this call every week. As always, it's an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to bringing you up on stage just like Salim. All right, take care.